My name's Eli Delaney, and I have the honor of meeting some pretty cool people. These are the entrepreneurs, the artists, the creatives, the game changers that are making a positive impact in the people that they meet. And I'm a firm believer that the people that you meet can get you anywhere you want to go. And this show is my way of sharing them with you. It's my way of also helping you meet cool people. Welcome back, everybody. Eli here. And today on Meet Cool People, I have a friend. We have been friends since, 2018, actually. And this is Tracy St. Croi. And she specializes in afterlife communication and in intuition group. She's also the host and creator of the Haunted Road Trip Show. Tracy brings you powerful conversations, insights, and exciting site investigations that reveal paranormal world in a way you've never seen before. And wanted to bring her in, not to talk about all the stuff that she does, but I wanted to talk about what she has been doing to go through launching this show that she has. So with that, Tracy, it's good to see you.
Hi, Eli. Hi, everybody. How
And
y'all
it
doing?
and it is always good to have a fun conversation with you. Like I said in your intro, you and I have known each other. We met at an event in Miami, and it was November 2018. I remember that specifically because
Yes.
that was my first time to Miami, and we hit it off. Had great connection. We have been friends ever since, which is a lot of awesomeness. Especially,
Yes.
we don't get to see each other as much as I would like to, considering I'm in Dallas and you're in Austin, and we should actually make that trip back and forth every once in a while, but we'll make it happen soon. So I would love for you to start off and give a little bit more into, what is the Haunted Road Trip Show, and, where did that idea come from originally?
Oh, wow. So, haunted road trip shows. For those of you who love a good spooky season paranormal show, we focused in on going to lesser known haunts around the central Texas area, specifically not to prove that there were ghosts there, that there were spirits, but to educate owners, residents, employees on how to effectively communicate with non-ordinary reality
Hmm.
that was very present in their business and helping them understand why they are there and maybe their the spirit's needs and what they wanted. We approached um paranormal TV from a different perspective than what you have seen traditionally, and it's gone to number one. So I think people are loving it.
That's awesome. Very cool. So,
And I
oh,
forgot, Eli. It stars me, who's a psychic medium and highly developed and well qualified, versus, you know, people with equipment going into places, yelling and screaming at the walls.
that's funny. Very cool.
It
So
is
when you
funny.
Yeah, what was it that, because you've been in the industry for a long time. How many years have you been in the industry as
So
an intuitive?
officially, I mean, I could say this. I stepped into my first class, my first intuitive development class
Okay.
in 2011.
Okay. So definitely quite a while. So
Yeah,
what was
2010,
it?
2011.
Where did the idea for doing this show come to play?
Wow, it started coalescing very small. It started out as a group project with
Hmm.
some other people that were involved. And I'm sure in business, you guys know when you start out a group project, it's all, yeah, this is cool. This is gonna be great. Oh my God, let's do this. And you start painting all the dream weaver and the rainbow maker pictures, right? Well, when it came down to kind of brass taxes, okay, here's a strategy of how we can make this happen. Here's what we're going to need. Here's how this is going to be done. Here how, you know, um, breaking up duties, basically, like here's what you're strongest at. It was like, all of a sudden everybody got amnesia and started moonwalking out the room. Um,
I know that feeling. When I had my first internet TV show, which was back in 2010, I think was the
Yeah.
right
Oh,
year.
yeah, yeah.
You remember that one? I think
Yeah,
I
I remember you
talked to
talking
you
about
about
that,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that was I had that when I first did it. I wanted to do a show because I was like, this whole concept of an internet TV show is super cool. And
Yeah.
nowadays we'd say that's a YouTube channel, but back then YouTube didn't exist. So an internet TV show
Mm-mm.
was a totally crazy idea. But I didn't want to do it by myself. And so I was like, so hey guys, I want to do this thing. You guys want to do it with me? And they jumped on board because they thought it was super exciting and super cool. But then when they realized that there's actually work involved and Eli wasn't going to do everything, then they changed their tune. And so yeah, it didn't last overly long. I don't remember how many episodes we had from it. I think it was still like maybe 20. I think it might have not even been that many. I don't remember for sure. But yeah, it's when you decide to do a project, it's always hard. It's like, okay, what do I want partners, and how does that look to make sure that it's going to be a fit for the long term? So I can get
Yeah,
that. Yeah. But
yeah.
you've evolved since then, and you've kind of taken over the reins of everything with it. You've done a lot with it. And I know you've been working on it for how long? It's been a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, it's been a couple
So,
years. At first, it first started out very simple. I said, "Okay, let's keep this simple. Let's start it out as a podcast, right? While
mhm.
we grow." So I have a podcast called Haunted Road Trip Show, and
Yep.
that would kind of just, introduce people, and it's a podcast about paranormal world, but it comes from a different perspective, a little bit more of the practical magic versus always, blaming things on the spirit world all the time.
Hmm.
And as I was developing, and Haunted Road Trip Show, the podcast started taking off, I was learning more and more about how, filming the show and the production and the background, and what, who does it take? What are the processes involved? What are the strategies involved? How do you find, qualified people that,
Hmm.
actually will follow through with what they say they can follow through with.
Right.
I would say it's the typical kinds of things that a lot of, entrepreneurs or business owners find,
Yeah.
right? You got to find, finding out who really, walks the walk.
Yeah. Well, and that's, and I know you and I had several conversations about this as you were getting it started too. And I loved, as you see, it's like we all, doesn't matter what kind of business we have, we all run into the same kind of things as we grow. It's like number one is
Yeah.
figuring out, okay, what exactly does this look like? What's our vision looking like? And then we go into that thing of, okay, I need some help. Who can I get to help? And oh, do they actually know what they're talking about? Because that's one of the biggest problems we all run into.
Yeah, it's the even as a well qualified psychic, I mean, people will try to sell me, a bag of poo all day long. And it's like, mm. And what I learned, and honestly, Eli, what I've learned from that process is about how to ask the right questions for me.
Okay. So let's
You
dive into
know,
that.
yeah, how to feel comfortable,
Mhm.
how, if, especially if you're an entrepreneur, I learned that, um, I needed to fully understand what this person was saying. And if they weren't willing to answer my follow up questions or give me clarity on it, or then they're probably not the right person that I want to work with. Or
Yeah.
if I'm asking for, like, well, can you give me examples of what you're talking about? Can you give me examples of your work? Can you give me, where this has worked before in the past for you? And being able to ask more detailed questions and coming at it from a perspective of, if you're not the right person, the next person could be, and I'm okay with that. I'm looking
Right.
for the right person for the job, not a person for the job.
Right. I think that that's a really powerful thing that a lot of times, most of the time we learn this as we're growing as it is, but to go through that process and realize, what the whole thing is, it's not a matter of getting better answers. You got to ask better questions first. And as an entrepreneur, anytime we jump into something new, doesn't matter what industry it is, we have to learn how to ask those questions. I think that you put that down, Griff, great in the fact of asking, for details, showing the actual examples, getting so you understand it. Because I think that that's one of the things that I work with clients on is like, I want you to understand what I'm doing with you because I don't want you to ever feel like A, I don't know what I'm talking about, or B, that I am not, I'm
Mhm.
not giving you the right information. I always say, you as the business owner should know this stuff. Doesn't mean you have to do it all, but you need to know enough to make sure that whoever you're hiring, that they're actually doing their job.
Correct. And that, I like to say, so if you're a business owner and maybe that's been a struggle with hiring the right person for the job or finding that, I would say sit down and start with a list of like what do you want this person to be able to do in your organization,
Hmm.
right? What do you want them to have qualifications in? How do you want them to prove that they know what they're doing before you start hiring them, right?
Right.
Get clear on what you're looking for so then when you're interviewing or asking people, you know where the train is going.
Right. Now, I love that. That is definitely a good one. Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about what is it like. I mean, and these days, everybody and their dog has a podcast, which I love podcasts. I totally recommend that if you can do it and you're willing to do it right, you should have a podcast. But when you're ready to take that from that podcast level and turn it into a show, it's an actual TV show kind of
Yeah.
situation, what does that journey look like, or what did it look like for you?
It looked like, well, it came from a strong desire,
Okay.
right? So, um, I come from a background of, you get an inspiration for an idea and then you have this, for me, it's kind of this pull, this soul pull, if you will, like, gotta create this. And for me, it was sitting down and going, okay, why do I want to make this show? Right? Who does it serve? And what do I want to give to the world that other shows in the past haven't? And when I looked at it and I said, well, I want to show people that spirit communicates in other ways other than this fearful, crazy chaoticness that we've seen on many other programs before. And I wanted to create a show that allowed people to commune with spirit and to understand things versus fear it and be scared of it and get sleepless nights. So I went into it with a very clear concept of knowing like I wanted highly qualified mediums and psychics on my show, and I wanted to do it from a lower tech background where people could really see a process and could see the the evidence from a historical and research point versus kind of I like to call the chaotic circus that we see on some of these shows in the past. And what I said was, okay, I have this concept, right? I don't see it out there, and I do what I do best. I started, asking spirit, show me the how. Some people pray, that's fine. You want to pray, and that's kind of what I did. I was like, okay, show me the people, show me the resources, show me the places, show me the things that I need to know, I need to learn. And, over time, all of a sudden, binge TV was approaching me and talking to me and saying, like, well, this is how we can help you. This is how we can make your show, really good. And then it was a process of, okay, well, I already know a crew, a camera person. I already know some production people here in Austin. Let me reach out to them and started working with them. And then it was like a slow snowball of learning from them and growing and finding other people to start to work on the show slowly but surely, finding editors and things like that, and going through that process of figuring out, well, that person's not going to work out too well, we got to go find another one with asking better questions the next time. And slowly but surely, because as I say, like, as you develop a concept and an idea, for like me, you're going to become a magnet. So when you're developing and creating a new project, you're automatically subconsciously going, okay, I need help, I need help. And you become like this magnet of all of a sudden attracting these people online or in person or these other resources, whether they're educational or people in person, to be able to start to help you out even more and give you more ideas or tips, or here's how you could do this. And it was a slow and steady wins the race process. It wasn't a like, people imagine like, oh, here kids, sign on the dotted line, we'll do everything for you and it'll look magical. Like, nope, that wasn't my experience.
Right.
But what I came out on the other side of it with is a set of really killer fucking skills I never knew I could cultivate. And I was like, damn, I'm really good at this production shit. Like, I was like, I mean, I'm no Spielberg. I'm not going to sit here and say that or anything like that. But I was like, you're doing good, girl, for your first time out the gate. Like, okay, you got a number one show.
Right.
And coming up with being resilient, being flexible, and going, okay, spirit, where to next? How are we going to have fun with this next?
Right.
Show me where the fun's at. Because now it's like, oh, I get to have fun with this now.
Yeah. So
Now I'm done.
you touched on a couple of really important things, and I didn't want to interrupt you, so I just wanted to kind of keep going with the story. But you started with something that I think it is such a simple process, and we hear it all the time, but so many people miss the boat on it. And I think on putting any kind of production together, whether that be everything from like coaching and stuff like that that a lot of people do, to a show, whether it be a podcast or a TV show, you got very clear on who you are, who your audience is, who you're going to help, and how you want to help them. What do you want to put out in the world? And I think that right there is the piece that a lot of people miss. They don't stop and actually consciously pay attention to that. And I think you did a great job of explaining that, because you're talking about, okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm going to do. But if you don't have that clarity, it makes it really hard to figure out what your next steps are.
Well, and it also, if you don't have that clarity moving forward, you don't have anything to hang on to when things get really stormy or rocky.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I love that. And it is so, so,
You
so
got to
true.
remember what is like I could not tell you how many times, I had to remind myself, what is your mission?
Hmm.
What is the mission here? Okay? Yeah, you fell down some potholes here, girl. You're skinned up pretty bad, but what's the mission? Get
Yeah.
up. Let's
So
go.
let's talk about that a little bit, because I'd like to share. I know you had some hiccups along the way.
Okay,
Uh,
hiccup.
yeah, we'll call them hiccups. Talk a little bit about, where some of that stuff went wrong. I know you touched on a little bit about having, bringing in people that were not the right people and stuff like that. We can go into a little bit more detail there, but let's talk about some of that stuff. Is, where did things fall short? You've gone through that point where you're like, okay, we're at a bottom point here. What was it that got you there? And what was it that took you back to that next step of overcoming that?
What got me to those places was, one, I was not asking the right questions,
Mhm.
right? And I had failed to empower myself in the aspect of knowing exactly what I was looking for. And the way that I disempowered myself at that time was, I have always rooted for the underdog, right? I've always been like, yeah, come on, you can overcome adversity, because I did it myself, right? And I'm the type of person that, when an opportunity had been gifted to me, whatever it was, right? I would take that opportunity and I would run with it, right? I would make gold out of it. And I would be so grateful and so thankful for that, either to that person or to that event. I would honor that. It was sacred to me that somebody gave me a hand, right? I didn't, and my downfall was other people don't view opportunity that way. Other people don't take the ball and run like you, Tracy. Other people
Mhm.
aren't built like you. Other people aren't as ambitious, tenacious, or have enough personal growth or responsibility to do that same mentality. And
Right.
that's the pothole I fell down a few times, was not was seeing the underdog, seeing that they could, but failing to see, did they really want to though?
Right.
Or were they just trying to get something out of their victim oppression story that they continually told themselves?
Yep. You
And that's
know,
okay. That's a business owner's thing, right? I mean, a lot of business owners learn that, right? Like I tell when I strategize with business owners a lot, I'm like, when you look at it from a neutral perspective, how many times have you hired that sibling, that ex in your life, that somebody that represented somebody that was you knew was going to fail you and you hired them anyway,
right.
subconsciously.
Yeah. And I think that that's a really important thing because looking at that, you and I both been around for a while, and I see how many people there are where you give them, it's like, hey, here's something that can help you out. Let's do that, or go do this thing, and they don't do the thing, and it's like, okay, well, did you really want to do it? Are you actually interested in actually getting that help that you keep saying you need, kind of thing? And I think that it's interesting because I see the most successful entrepreneurs they not only do they learn something that somebody helped them, or they take that handout that somebody gave to them, but they make the most of it and they are appreciative of it. And that's a really key point, I think, in today's society that a lot of people miss is they forget that part of thank you so much. This really means so much to me. It really is that simple. I mean, what did that take me? 3 seconds? you know, and
Yeah.
that is such a huge difference, it's a good reminder that we all need to be more appreciative of those situations where people are helping us out.
Yeah. And I mean, both you and I have had, some kicks in the gut.
Mhm.
And it's and I maybe I'm kind of built that way. Just kind of like when somebody gives you help, thank them for that.
Right.
And and not only help yourself but maybe use that to help others, because I do train, in the spiritual world, some people have really poor money stories about, whatever it is, money is bad, or I can't have money, it's not virtuous, da 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 da.
Right.
And I'm just, like, no, I love money, because not only does money give me freedom and choices, but it gives me the ability to help other people gain freedom and choices in their life.
Right.
So why wouldn't I want a lot of it?
Right. No, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Like,
100%.
I love money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what you can do with the money that is
Yeah.
that's the part I love, honestly. It's what you can
I'm
do with
like, I've
it.
met millionaires who are mooches, and they're just really piss poor people, and I've met people who can't rub two pennies together, and they're just the same. They're not exactly good people either. So
Right.
money, doesn't qualify as that. It's what you do
Right.
with it.
Well, and I know there's a lot of people have said this phrase before. Money just amplifies who you are. You are who you are. Money amplifies that. So if you're a jerk when you're poor, yeah, you're going to be
Mm.
a jerk when you're rich.
Oh yeah,
And if you were nice when you're poor, chances are you're probably going to be nice when you're rich too. I mean, I know for me
yeah,
personally, I have hung out with many millionaires, and they are some of the coolest people I've ever met.
yeah,
Very few of them are the ones that I don't enjoy spending time with, and it's because they give so much behind the scenes. Like you don't see the public side of them because they don't want that. They're not after the show. But yeah, it's a whole different game. So it's good that I'm glad that you brought that up. That the whole point of being grateful for what you are given, and given putting that out there is, you and I have talked about this kind of stuff before. Gratitude is one of the most important things you can be doing, and I'm a big fan of start your day every day putting writing 5 things down that you're grateful for. And they could be big, they could be small, really doesn't matter. Sometimes for me, good mocha is part of my gratefulness, which,
Mhm.
actually that goes on most of them because I do enjoy a good mocha. So where do you see the show going now? You've got it on the station, you've got hit to number one with it. How long did it take for you to hit number one first?
I'm gonna have to look back. It was on the network, maybe I think 10 days.
Okay.
I was at I volunteer at Camp Renovation
Hmm.
for foster kids in Nevada, and I was actually there. And so, like, where we were at, like, there was signal was, sketchy at
Right.
best. And I was able to, check my phone down at my car, and I saw that email, and I did a dance that probably looked like I was either like fighting a swarm of bees, or I was like, what are those things outside the gas station? The things that do this. What do you call them?
I don't know what the right proper term is, but you're
What are
talking
they
about
called?
the blow up, weird, creepy cylinder looking dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah. I know
I
what you
looked probably like a combination between those two.
That's funny. That is funny. That is awesome. That's great. Now you just brought up the Renner thing. I would love for you to share a little bit
Yeah,
about that because I've known for a long time. You and I are both fans of Jeremy Renner. For anybody who
yeah,
doesn't know, he's an actor, he's a musician. Most people know him as Hawkeye in the Avengers.
yeah,
But he's also I followed him because I'm an archer, so therefore, of course, I had to check out Hawkeye, who happens to be the archer in the superhero guys. But then I found out he was a musician and started getting into his music, and this like I've followed
yeah.
his stuff ever since. So explain what the stuff is, the camp is that you did with him, because that's a pretty powerful project, and it was kind of cool to see the pictures and stuff you posted about it.
Oh, yes. Well, I would like to say first and foremost a disclaimer. I am not officially associated with the Renovation Foundation in any way, shape, or
Absolutely.
form. I
You just
am simply
volunteered to help.
yes, I am just a volunteer. I am not a press piece or anything like that for them. I'm just sharing my experience as a volunteer. Um, but it was absolutely wonderful. So the Renovation Foundation is specifically for helping foster kids and at-risk youth in Nevada.
Mhm.
And these camps, they have a couple times a year. The first camp they have around 4th of July at Lake Tahoe is for the little ones, 8 to 12, and then we have a second camp in August for kind of the bigger kids, the teenagers, the 13 to 17s, and then we add in a few of the littles in there too. But for those camps, that is an opportunity for those kids to, get to participate in group activities. We have, they have a shopping day for the kids. These kids come from a group home, Eli, and they have to share clothes, and very rarely do they even have a pair of tennis shoes of their own
Mm. Wow.
and sweatshirts. And Jeremy is there and his whole family, which they're totally gracious. And Jeremy has a lot of his friends that are there, and they
Mhm.
bring out their boats and their ski-doos and the playthings on the water. And some of these kids never get access to a lake.
Right.
They never get access to a boat ride or anything like this, or how to play games and art and craft, and go on, um, play, play soccer with Hawkeye, right?
Right.
Get to dance
Yep.
and play with Hawkeye and his family and his friends, and give the kids an experience of community, and giving them a place to just even make some core memories that, like, yeah, we know you got it rough, kid. You got it shitty. You got it downright shitty. We know it. But we're just going to give you the help that we can give you right here and right now.
Right.
And
That's
hopefully,
awesome.
maybe that's just core memories that they go forward and they live a better life. Now, the foundation also has a lot of other programs that assist kids in many other ways just beyond the camps.
Mhm.
And if you want to get involved, renovationfoundation.org, you can find all the information there.
Awesome. Very cool. And that was cool. Like I said, when I saw, because you and I hadn't talked about it, we hadn't
Yes.
talked for a little bit, and then I saw these pictures, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I know that one. I know what's going on there, and I thought it was very, very cool. So that
It
is
was,
cool.
I mean, yeah, they gave the kids like hot air balloon rides. They were tethered hot air balloon rides.
Hmm.
I mean, it was a great time. I mean, Jeremy would come up and play with them and talk with them and interact with them. And, at the older kid camps, we had, kind of career days so they could see firemen and forest fires, and had, the Starlight helicopter come so the
Hmm.
kids could see that. And it was all kinds of, really good, helpful stuff to give these kids a different vision than from what they, um,
What they normally have.
because yeah, because they're in
Yeah.
survival. A lot of them have very myopic views of life, and we were just hoping to expand it by giving them a sense of family and a sense of hope.
That is cool. Awesome. Well, that is cool.
Yeah.
To thank you for sharing that. I just
Listen, I
because I
am
knew it
not
was fun.
officially associated with Renovation Foundation.
Yes.
I want to make that very, very clear. I'm not
Yes.
paid to say any of
You
this.
made it. You made it clear. We're good.
Okay, I'm
It's all.
just
It's all good. I just wanted you to share a little bit about it because I know it was a good experience for you, and it's a cool experience, for what it is and what they're
yeah.
doing there to help the
I
kids.
wish,
So
and I wish, I hope that people, you don't even have to be a celebrity, but I would love, like, if people had the money, to be able to start more of those foundations, because there,
right,
I don't know if there's any other camps that cater just to foster kids.
right. No, that's cool. Awesome. Very cool. So
Yeah.
let's go back. Let's go back to things that are going on. What are you cooking in your world, and what's
Oh,
next for Tracy?
oh goodness. So, what I am cooking is, my number one show on Binge Network, Haunted Road Trip Show. That is, I mean, honestly, that's going to be, my focus moving forward. Is just really nonstop talking about it, getting people interested in a spirit world. And I'll be doing some classes later on about mediumship development, psychic development, plotting, planning season two, and just having a lot of fun promoting it. Like being like,
Cool.
okay, this is the fun part, right? This is part of the fun. We get to go out and talk and educate people, the
Right.
and it's right in time for spooky time season, right? I
Yep.
mean, and and the show is also, I think I shared this with you yesterday, but it is also getting licensed by other streaming apps that
Hmm.
are giving me, that want the show on their app too. So we're going to have even more of an expansion of the show.
Awesome. I love it. Very, very cool.
I know. I'm so excited.
All right. So we are about out of time here, and I got two final questions for you. The last one's going to be the easy one, which will be how do people get a hold of you?
Okay.
But before that, as every show I do, I always ask, what do the words meet cool people mean to you?
Oh gosh. Okay. Meet cool people means being involved in a collective of like-hearted people that are that they're fun. They have joy in their heart and they like to spread joy. That they want to have a connection with you and other people. They're creative in their own right and they like to share it. They, easygoing, super cool, and I don't know, maybe a little spooky too, at least for my taste, right?
I love it. That is awesome. All right. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
My
thanks so much.
qualifications are, you want to go hang out in graveyard? You want
Yeah,
to go
there
hang?
you go. So, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? They want to find out more about the show and all the other cool stuff you got going on.
Yeah, all the other cool stuff. You'll have the link in the show notes.
Okay.
Best place to find me is on my Patreon because that's kind of where everything, a lot of things live. If you
Hmm.
want to find me on my social media networks, hit the tap link. It'll take you anywhere you want to go. But my
Awesome.
Patreon, that's where it's at.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thank you for Tracy. It's always fun to hang out with you, and I appreciate you
Yes.
coming on the show today.
Yes. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, and everybody else, get out there. Have an amazing week. If anything pops up I can help you with, reach out. Let me know. Take care. And that wraps up another Meet Cool People show. Now, if you like what you heard, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, or review so I can help introduce these amazing cool people to even more amazing cool people. And just remember, meeting cool people is just the beginning. You need to have a system in place to follow up with the amazing people that you meet. This is exactly what we do for our clients. Now, if you'd like to see if my team and I can help you, go to convertmoreclientsnow.com and check out the case study video to see exactly how we're helping our clients turn casual connections into cash clients for life. Again, go to convertmoreclientsnow.com and see how we can work together to turn you into a follow-up rock star.